Hey there, I'm Brittany Schroeder, and business and marketing are my jam. I'm here to walk you step by step through this crazy thing we call business. I'm a small town girl, chocolate eating, Diet Coke drinking mom, marketing guru, automation Jedi, and all around good time. This is your weekly dose of all things business and life, sprinkled with some fun. This is the Redefine Business Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Redefine Business Podcast. I am so excited to chat with my good friend, colleague, and early riser, my other early bird riser, Molly Claire of Molly Claire Coaching. Welcome, Molly.
Hi. It's so true, right? You know those friends where you can message them or Marco Polo them early in the morning and they will respond because they are up too.
Molly is always my one that I know, like if it's 5, 6 a.m., I know Molly is going to be like, she'll be there. She'll respond. I always say, rise and shout. The goal getters are out, right?
That's right. I love it.
Well, awesome. Well, Molly, welcome to the podcast. I met Molly through the Life Coach School. I think the first time I met you, well, I don't know if we ever met, but I saw you on stage with your sister at, was it
at a mastermind?
Mastermind.
Oh, was it when we were teaching?
Yeah, you guys were teaching.
Back in 2019.
2019, yes. And I remember like even telling my good friends, like, oh, that was my favorite one. That was my favorite presentation. So, and I've worked with Molly. We've done a lot of different things together. So she's just a gem. So Molly, tell my listeners a little bit about just your journey as a life coach and where you're at now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It feels like so many things have happened. I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version. I started my business in 2014. So it's almost been a decade now that I've been in the coaching industry. And kind of, rewinding a little bit from there, I always was an entrepreneur at heart. I always did different things business-wise. Even as a little kid, I remember being in elementary school and creating flyers for the neighborhood with jobs that I could do to earn money. So I've always worked, I've always made money, and I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit and tried different things. Well, right before I got into coaching, I was kind of going through, as many of us do, a bit of an internal personal crisis. I was just dealing with a lot of things in my life and found, the coaching model specifically through LCS and had a really huge life-changing experience just from a little bit of coaching. And it was that moment like, okay, I need to do this. Like somewhere down the road, I am going to do this because the timing didn't seem right for me. I was healing from chronic fatigue syndrome. I had 3 little kids. My marriage was kind of iffy. But as these things sometimes do, the Life Coach School ended up sending an email out, letting everyone know there was going to be one more training that year, done by the founder herself. And it just kicked me into gear. And I said, well, I guess I better do this. And honestly, from that moment, I did not stop. I went all in on my training. I got, certified as quickly as I could, got my website going, started building my business. So that was kind of the beginning. And over the last decade, and feel free to interrupt and ask questions, of course, but I built my own personal business. As I was building that business and, writing my book and all of that, I also was doing a lot of contract work, training coaches, creating curriculums. I did a joint business with my sister for a while, helping coaches. And yeah, over the last decade, it's all just, it feels like right now in my business, I'm at this place where all the learnings and the trainings and the things that I've done are kind of finally really coming together in a clear way. And so I just think it's interesting as you're asking me that question, thinking about the small start and the ups and downs, everything along the way. And sometimes I think we forget that it takes a little bit of time to really land where you're going to be in your business.
Yeah. So. That's something that especially if I'm ever working with like new entrepreneurs, new business, new coaches, that I always say is like, your business is going to evolve. How it looks now will not look the same in a year. It won't look the same in 5 years. It won't look the same in 10 years. We're just constantly evolving and changing. And, I think that is a big part of business that we don't necessarily talk a lot about I think we do behind closed doors is like the failure part where, okay, and you and I have had lots of conversations on this topic, but I'll come up with an idea. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good. There's such a need. Like, this is going to be so good. And then we launch it. And then you're like, okay, like, I guess it wasn't as awesome as I thought. And it's that inability. It's not that inability. It's the ability to say, okay, that didn't work. And either you pivot or you say, I got to fix that funnel. I know this is good. I've got to fix it somewhere. Maybe it's my messaging. Maybe it's my timing, whatever it is. But being able to pivot and try different things. And, some things work and some things don't. And that's
just how it goes. Yeah. Well, and I think even, because, now as I work with coaches to help them define their program and also, doing the master coach training that I've got going. But in all the work that I do with coaches, I see so commonly, and this is for all business owners, I think, right? It's like when we as a business owner are experiencing some level of indecision, or we try something and we thought it was going to be amazing and then it's not, it can be really easy for us to think something negative about ourselves because of that, right? Mm-hmm. I need to do a better job of deciding or sticking with it, or maybe I was wrong. And it's kind of like, no, sometimes that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you have to try and fail and figure it out. And it's kind of like, I think of the shifting and shimmying and leaning in and then doing something different is all part of the process. And it doesn't really have to mean anything about your ability or lack thereof to build a business.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we're always learning. I before we hit record, I said, oh, Molly, I want to share this story. And so I love this story. When I was working with Molly and we were having a conversation one day, and I said to her, because when I met her, she was on stage at the life coach school at the mastermind. And, if you are familiar with the life coach school, there is a lot of coaches. Like, it is a lot of, you get a lot of exposure. And I had made this comment to Molly, and maybe it offended her. I don't know, but I loved her response to it. And I tell this story a lot in my membership. And I think I've even shared it in a podcast, but I said to Molly, gosh, you've just had all this success, like this amazing success. And I said, do you attribute your success to the exposure you got from the life coach school? And she came back at me. Molly, I haven't ever met you in person. How tall are you?
That's
you're
so
this little thing.
Weird. I'm 5'1". I'm so small.
Oh yeah. She is a peanut, but she has this really sweet voice, but she came back at me with a little feistiness, but she just said, I can't remember how she said it. So I'm probably killing it, but she said that it has nothing to do, with nobody handed me anything. I was in the right place at the right time, and I showed up, and I kept showing up, and I kept doing it, and I was consistently showing up, and then an opportunity presented itself. And I love that so much because did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Well, it's so funny. I know, because when you said that before we started, you're like, and I don't know if you snapped. I don't know. I'm like, I wish I could go back and see, because it would surprise me if I was offended in some way, but wouldn't it be fun to go back and see what was going on? But it's like, but yeah, here's what I'll say, because so I certified, back when I certified, there were 12 of us on a conference line with the founder of the Life Coach School, right? Mm-hmm. And then over the years as I've been a part of different things, thousands of coaches now, right, have come through, and everything has scaled and gotten bigger and all of that. So absolutely, I was there in those early stages. And, and this is what I'll say to any of you and all of you. Is there an element of being in the right place at the right time and luck? I don't know. I'm not really sure. But what I do know is that every single opportunity that could possibly be there, I showed up. I raised my hand. I created opportunity. Mm-hmm. I was being proactive, right? Showing initiative, because I knew that I had a lot to learn when it came to coaching and when it came to building a business. And I was so serious and so determined about making it happen that I knew that it was, what's interesting, right, is the question is like, is it because of that, right? Is it because of that association? But when I think back to my experience of it, I knew that if I was going to create success, it was going to be on me. So I had to speak up. I had to show up. I had to be on the front row, raise my hand, do the hard things. And I did all of it. And I'm so grateful that I did, because it did open a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And I kind of shared with Molly too, is, I did high school senior photography for years and years and years. And I was in the Wall Street Journal, and I was on Good Morning America. And I remember at the time thinking like, oh my gosh, like it almost didn't seem real, because I'm like, there's so many other photographers that are better than me, yeah, I'm decent, but like, I'm not as talented as X, Y, and Z. But it was like, kind of like what you said, is like, I was out there networking. I was going to conferences. I owned a photography magazine. I was constantly like networking. I was hustling. Like there was
That's right.
There was an element of hustle that I was showing up, and, nothing, I think that, oftentimes a lot of entrepreneurs, they're looking for that easy button, or that like, like I'm going to do this, but it really is like the grind, and it gets easier in ways and harder in ways. And, and it's just, but that consistency and constantly showing up. And that's one of the things like that I admire so much about you is, you're always like trying to improve like your business. You're always like looking for, how can I help people? How can I do this? And so, but I love that story about you. And I actually share it all the time, because there's just like a lot of truth to it. And,
yeah.
So.
And even, because I know your listeners, like I hear this all the time from my clients, where they're like, well, I don't really have a clear way of getting clients yet. Right. And there's like something to be said for that. But I'm like, well, wait, where did the clients that are with you now come from? And there's always actions behind it. Right. There's always along the way a step of courage, or, raising their hand, or taking an opportunity, or taking initiative. It's always there. And so I think, like, as I think about your audience listening and thinking about your business and the things you do have, or the clients you do have, or the success you do have, make sure that you are paying attention to what you did to move yourself to that moment. And just be careful about chalking too much of it up to luck. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're definitely, I can think of other like colleagues of mine that have had a lot of success, but man, they work so hard. And, so it really is, there could be luck, but really, like, I think one has to come before the other kind of thing. So, but who knows, but that's awesome. Well, Molly, tell people like, what are you working on now? Tell us what is going on in your business right now.
Oh my gosh. So right now, I believe when this is airing, listen, I'm an excitable person. You know this about me, Brittany. Yes. I get excited about everything I do. I'm very enthusiastic. And I have to say that this program I'm launching right now, it is a holistic master coach training. And I would say, I don't know that excited about it actually does justice the way I feel. Because in some ways it feels like this is a little extreme, but like the work of my lifetime, the work of my career in this space as a coach. It's a year-long program to help coaches who are trained in, one or two methods or modalities to be able to expand their ability to coach their clients well. So I could go on and on about it, but I'm offering this master coach training because in my experience in these, this last decade of working with clients and also working with so many coaches who I see hitting dead ends with their coaching, coming up against trauma responses in themselves or their clients, and really sometimes using coaching tools in a way that are detrimental to them. And I say this having experienced this myself. This program that I'm rolling out is just such an opportunity to help coaches to really lead their business with service and integrity and have safety and ethics and effectiveness in their business.
Yeah.
Just over the moon excited about it.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
So we'll put all that information in the show notes too. So if you want more information, don't you have a training coming up?
I had a training that we did, the power of holistic coaching.
Okay.
And so, I believe when this airs, everything is open for enrollment. And certainly if someone wanted to watch that, they can, message my team. But if anyone is interested in knowing more, if you go to my website, just mollyclaire.com, and I know you'll have this in the show notes as well, but there's an info video that kind of talks about what a holistic approach to coaching is, and kind of talks about some of the experts that will be teaching in the program and the curriculum, because I believe that I can give my clients a lot. And I also know that I love leaning on expertise and genius of other people, because I think there's a huge benefit in that. If anyone's interested in it, you can go there and find out really more about what it is, what it's all about.
And it is going to be awesome. Molly has told me some of the different speakers and the different curriculum in it. It's going to be amazing. If you are a life coach and you are ready to take your coaching to the next level, check it out. It's golden. It's going to be amazing. So,
because I just feel like, now more than ever, the coaching and consulting space is just so noisy, right? More people are doing it. There's a lot of practices that are kind of crappy practices. And it's like, how are you supposed to know if a coach is good or is not good? And I always say the coaching space is like the wild, wild west. There's no rules. Everyone's making it up as you go. And I think that now, just with the market the way it is and the economy, I feel like this is the time when the industry is going to really weed out the people I believe who are going to succeed and stay the course are the people who are leading their business with a high quality service. Mm-hmm. And this goes for any service-based business, right? Any service-based business, or consultants or coaches or anything at all. And the beautiful thing about that is that's the point of it, right? Is to give great service. And so I'm just a big believer on that. And I think that I know there's a lot of fear in the economy and the market and such, but I'm like, you know what? Lean into providing high quality service, do it better than you've ever done it, do it, the best possible way, and your business will succeed.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really like any business, you want to continue your education. I mean, anything that's even state
Absolutely.
regulated, like nursing or, a lot of these different practices, you have to have continuing education to stay licensed and certified. And I think, as business owners, when things aren't as regulated, it's almost like our duty to stay on top of it. As a business coach, I'm always like, okay, what am I going to this is kind of a problem of mine because I love to learn, but I'm like, okay, what am I going to learn this year? I know SEO, but I want to dive deeper. I want to really know it, or you know what I mean? And so I think if you're a life coach, you owe that to your clients, that you are staying on top and you're learning new tools and giving them good new resources. So
exactly. Well, and I think, Brittany, you saying that, I think you're such a good example of this, because I'm always amazed. I always think, how does Brittany know so many things about everything? And it's because of that continued learning. And I mean, I agree that I think as coaches, we have and the honor, I would say, of raising the bar in this industry and holding ourselves to a high standard of ethics, ethical practices, business wise, and in the coaching space too. So I don't know. I think it's an exciting thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I love that. We'll put all that information in the show notes, and so you can get more information to learn more about that. All right, Molly. Okay, I like to finish my podcast with asking my guests 2 questions. What is a pet peeve and what's a simple pleasure? So what is your pet peeve?
Okay. So a pet peeve of mine is I do not like when people try to kind of break the rules in an effort to get ahead of other people, right? I know we were talking earlier about cutting in line or something. When someone thinks, oh, I'll get around this rule and I'll get ahead or get something first. I just feel like like, to me, it's such a big deal because where's the respect for everyone else, right? That wants that same thing. So that's probably my biggest pet peeve for sure.
And the sad thing is I had to like give Molly some ideas. She couldn't think of anything and I just spouted off like 10. So what does that say about Molly as opposed to me that I have all these pet peeves? So, okay. What's a simple pleasure?
Okay. I love walking so much. And that's what I love. One of the things I love about having my own business and working at home, I just walk all throughout the day. It just fills my soul.
You do walk a lot. When we ever read Marco Polo, I'm like, maybe she's getting her afternoon walk. Maybe she didn't walk this morning because she's walking this afternoon. You are walking a lot. I can attest to that. So I love it.
Yeah, it's the best.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Molly. It was so great chatting with you. And we will put all of Molly's information in the show notes. So check her out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Let's not stop the party here. Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook group, Redefine Your Business, and let me know your thoughts about today's show. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week.